Hello everyone. I am Adrian. I am the technical director for Wolcen Studio.
And I'm Matt. I am the lead narrative designer in Wolcen Studio.
And we'd like to welcome you to this gameplay preview for our upcoming game, Wolcen 2.
Warlord, is this thing on?
Aye, I hear you. Albeit distorted, no sign of her still. Are you sure she came this way?
The signal is faint, but it's there. Besides, there's no other way down there after the cave-in. Try the gate. Maybe you can force your way in.
No luck. Just some chalice.
Not just any chalice. A chalice for a sanguine lock. If you want to get past that door, you'll have to fill it.
So I'm going to give you a brief intro about what's going on narratively just after this dialogue sequence.
What if she's in danger?
Digging through all that rubble will take days. This is our only option.
You shouldn't have set her off like that.
Hard not to. We didn't part in the best of terms.
That's an understatement.
So these events that you're seeing are happening some years, a decade at least, after the events of Wolcen 1. We are playing a character that's a new character, but what you might find out if you played Wolcen 1 and you finish to this version of the game is that there are characters from Wolcen 1 that will be coming back, but I'll leave it up for you to discover. The world is in turmoil, and it's falling apart in a very specific way that you will also learn as you play the game. But most of the factions that were in the ascendancy in Wolcen 1 are no longer the case, other than, of course, the villainous factions of the Forces of the Abyss. I'm going to shut up now.
Salutations and such. Would you like to partake of my wares, Warlord?
A survivor? I thought Araman's dogs had done away with you.
They are merciless but sloppy. Where I can hide, they cannot think to look. They call me Lord of Vermin because they are jealous of my wares. I also make hefty use of the tunnels, of course.
Your survival is strange. The more you speak, the less I trust you. What wares could you possibly offer?
Weapons, trappings of war, potions. I can open paths unknown to men.
I have no interest in your shoddy weaponry. Or your swill.
Oh, no, Warlord. For you, I have something that will help clear your path. Something worthy of the butcher.
Wait. You know of me?
I know many things. I usually deal in silver and gold, but this time my true gifts must be bartered for.
You speak of opening the way. What do you mean? Speak clearly.
A key. A simple thing, yet so powerful. Forged in the days of the Covenant of the Blind. Wouldn't part with it for all the coin in the world. Now gems, however.
Out with it!
The goddess weeps tears of pain in her death throes, and they crystallize into jewels of great value. The tears of Anathea. Araman's lackeys stole one from me. They hide it in their stronghold, out of my reach. Get it back for me, and the skeleton key will be yours.
I'll see what I can do.
So in this quest alone, you saw a veritable lore dump of terms. Moros is mentioned. They're talking about Ahriman and his magic and his followers. The enemies you're fighting now are followers of Ahriman. Now, the more perceptive people that have played Wolcen 1 will remember that Ahriman was banished, and the characters in this build of the game address this directly. So while Ahriman is banished, his power still lingers, as the line goes. We are starting in media res here. This is a party of adventurers led by our protagonist, the Warlord. There's this old man and an unmentioned woman that we're trying to save, an unnamed woman rather. And these characters are, at this point in time in the story, in the middle of a quest. You are currently on a quest to save one of your party, which is this unnamed woman, and you're being led by the old man. And I'm going to now shut up and focus on the gameplay for once, and let Adrian talk a bit.
Yeah, I mean, the game in itself is completely changed from what we had in Wolcen 1. We've upgraded everything when it comes to the engine, when it comes to everything code related, and we're trying to make the best experience that we can make for our players. Although what you see right now is basically single player gameplay, we do plan to have multiplayer gameplay, parties, and it's not going to be the way that we did it on Wolcen 1. We won't be tied to our servers, you won't be tied to our connections. You will be able to do basically peer-to-peer connections and be able to play with your friends rather easily. Now, even though this is still a pretty early build of the game, we have created quite a few skills, quite a few items, and it can give you a pretty good idea about where we're going with the feeling of the game as well as itemization. As I said, we are no longer on CryEngine. We have switched to Unreal Engine 5, but thanks to our very talented art team, we are doing our best to make the game look anything but one of those generic Unreal Engine 5 games that people complain a lot about. Which means there's been a lot of work going on in making the game look as good as you see in here. And just making it look good is not the only thing. We want to make sure that it plays on quite large variety of hardware. Our, let's say, initial way of thinking is having a minimum of an NVIDIA 1650 or an equivalent, and you should be able to play the game with an okay performance on that and okay quality as well.
To add to what you're just saying, I would say that the visual identity, but the fidelity of the game is quite an important feature for us. I think the game looks beautiful, and I don't think you need to be even the layman can already discuss this, and we've had people give it a look, and just at a glance already the game looks beautiful. For me, I mean, I'm a narrative guy, but when I play ARPGs, one of the most gratifying things for me is the visual spectacle of the killing that you're doing and all the stuff that you're doing. And I think a lot of the times, especially in RPGs, it tends to go by the wayside. It becomes like a number crunching game where it's just like, number go up and that's it. But I think people underestimate the importance of the aesthetics of the whole thing. Just like with narrative, which I always complain about.
Yeah, I mean, we are making sure that every kill that you get is spectacular in itself. There's blood jumping around, there's dismemberment happening, and again, our art team, our tech art team, together with the programming team, are making sure that all of these things, while looking awesome, also don't really necessitate a rocket of a PC for them to run on. By the way, the original release in early access is going to be PC only, but the game is definitely coming to consoles as well for the final release.
You might have noticed as well in one of the dialogues that just came up during the fight, the Warlord, which is the PC character, is as he's fighting, he's saying his lines like a person in a fight, which is a small but significant detail that our audio team has worked on, and they're experimenting with the methodology to make all these lines sound differently depending on if the PC is exerting and physically a physical effort or physically evolved or not. You've probably all experienced that weird dissonance when you're playing an RPG and a character is like swinging a two-handed sword whilst having a very cool and relaxed dialogue. So the genius of what the audio team did is, again, a simple thing, which is they made versions of, you know, exerted lines, stressed lines, and then the calm lines, and they will play differently depending if you're engaged in combat or not. I think it's a great feature. It's still work in progress. We don't want to overpromise anything, but so far so good. And I think it really brings out the sort of realistic nature of it in a high fantasy world, but the realism comes from the details.
Indeed, and speaking of being in combat, you might have noticed that based on what weapons you are wielding right now, your abilities are going to be different, and you are almost unlimited on how you can combine your weapons. Meaning you can have dual swords, you can have dual pistols, you can have swords and pistols, and based on that you will be able to use abilities that are tied to the swords or to the pistols if you have found a weapon that allows you to use that ability. Of course, there's advantages and disadvantages to using one type of weapon or combining the weapons themselves, because each weapon fires independently. So if you have a sword and a pistol, you're going to have the swings from one sword and the shots from one pistol. But if you have dual swords, you're going to have both swords swing independently and give their damage independently. And the same dual pistols, you're going to have both pistols shooting at the same time.
Happening right now. It's one of the cool things with the setting of Wolcen is that you can have magitech, you can have guns, you can have swords. It's you know, a very particular environment and setting. And to add to that, this is just one of the factions. So these are followers of the Blind Prince, Ahriman. But it is a visually distinctive faction that kind of is familiar to players of the first game. We are going to evolve the language of each of the factions to reflect that time has passed in the meantime. For example, because their god is banished, or their leader is banished, Ahriman, this faction is now much more kind of decrepit. They're having a power struggle. It's a bit of a different environment than to the dominant force that they used to be. As I mentioned in the beginning, we are kind of in the middle of events here. We've waded into the territory of the followers of the Blind Prince in search of this companion that we have. We were supposed to meet her, but we're separated by a cave-in case you missed the beginning lines. And now we're trying to go deeper and deeper to find her because we have her signal. Problem is, we've kind of stumbled into a very nasty faction of enemies.
What you might have seen a little earlier is our current skill mastery screen. You will be able to customize the skills that you have based on points that you earn while you level, and this will allow you to kind of get your own playstyle. Just define your own playstyle, because the same way that Wolcen 1 was, Wolcen 2 is also a classless ARPG, which means you don't choose a class at the start. Your skills and your build is determined by the gear that you have, by the skills that you use from that equipment, and there's a lot of possibilities for you to optimize your build, to customize your build, and find your own way of playing the game.
Yeah, this kind of freedom, I think we needed to focus on what type of freedom do we want to provide to the player. Narratively, we are going the more refined approach of having a character whose story you are embodying, so you are experiencing through in the finest tradition of, you know, a game like a God of War, where you're playing Kratos, right? So you're playing a singular character and experiencing their story. So in that sense, we wanted to have like tunnel vision and very specific things that we want to do or say. But as far as gameplay is concerned, that's where the freedom kicks in to completely express yourself any way you want, right? Even to the finest minutia, like Adrian was mentioning, that you're having two weapons that are independent of each other per arm, up to stuff like building nearly endless builds or versions of builds for this singular character of the warlord, right? And just to address the bark that he just said a second ago, which was they're talking about filling a chalice. The current quest line is that there's a chalice, a ritual chalice that you need to fill with the blood of specific enemies in order to pour it into a receptacle and open the sanguine lock. Just in case you were wondering what they're talking about. Adrian, back to you.
Yes, the quest system that we've built for this game is completely new, and it's something that we're doing together with Matt's team in order to allow a large variety of quest types, a large variety of quest objectives, as well as the possibility of having hidden quests, hidden objectives, and encourage you to explore and discover the world. But back to this screen right now, as you see, the player is customizing his Bladestorm ability, adding various modifiers to the ability, and this will allow the player to play in a completely different way than they did using the two pistols that you saw before. Now, as the quest chalice is full, we will soon be going to the big chalice at the start of the level, filling it up, and then we'll see what happens. Beautiful artwork done there with the chalice filling the blood and spreading it around.
It's some of these details that like the flying enemies around here and all these things, like they're such small things, but they mean so much in the grand scheme of things.
Yes, it makes the world feel alive. Like, you see, there's things happening. It's not just the NPCs that we're fighting. It looks like it's an alive or undead or whatever you want to call it world, where things are happening that don't necessarily involve us.
Indeed. You will notice a lot of things being mentioned because we're in the middle of a story that's already ongoing. So a lot of terms are being thrown around. A lot of revelations are being given that might not make sense, especially if you are unengaged with the story of Wolcen 1, so you don't recognize the characters or the kind of dog whistles as far as who or which character is. But I feel in a way that's kind of cool, because it gives you the impression, and the correct impression, that there's much more than a simple, go into a stronghold, kill enemies, get to a person. And as you'll see now, things get a bit more complicated the deeper you go into the stronghold.
Yes, we've given our level design team a lot of tools for them to spawn waves of enemies and make them pose a challenge for the player, and they've definitely used it to up the ante the deeper you go into this stronghold.
Yeah, and you'll notice that we're gonna, not to spoil, but there's going to be a unexpected new enemy coming by. Because as I mentioned, this is a faction that's the followers of the Blind Prince, and you can, you know, kind of identify their visual language by now. You've probably noticed that there's no wildlife up until this point, which makes sense because it's a, you know, occupied territory. But that might soon change. What I wanted to address as well was the quest system that was mentioned before. We want to be very careful not to overextend, and we want to make sure that we use, you know, all the meat off the bone. So when we have secret quests, we want to try to kind of separate the menial tasks of just, you know, fetch quests and the kind of more, you know, lore, I wouldn't say lore heavy, but like the more contextually based ones, and have a multitude of those rather than the other way around. It's really important for us to kind of focus on what we have and refine it to a fine point rather than spread it ourselves actually and thus the game too thin.
Yeah, one of the things that you might see right here is the fact that we have kind of a combo system where if you execute an ability perfectly, then you can get extra, let's say, extra bonuses from it. As you see, when the player kind of winds up in order to jump at the enemies, the player waits a little, and when, you know, you get the perfect execution timer for that, when he lands, you're going to get a bunch of spikes that come out of the ground when the landing comes. And this is part of, let's say, how we want to have our gameplay occur. Having partially, you know, manic, frantic gameplay, but combine it with, let's say, perfect execution when we need it, and strategy, making sure that everything kind of combines in order to give you a satisfying experience.
Forgotten networks. Who knows what's down there?
Oh yes, these are some elites. As you might have noticed, we have various classes of enemies, and even normal enemies from time to time can be kind of promoted to elite versions of themselves that have some extra abilities thrown in. They're a little tougher, they are a little stronger, and they make for an extra challenge for the player.
Yeah, I kind of, I was kind of announcing something a bit too early, I think. So I'll leave the enemy variety to be a bit of a surprise then. Another thing that's important to us is... there we go. What is that?
What
Our
is
beloved
that?
shadow form.
Yes.
What were those things?
Vultures. The shadows of living things. My power draws them in like blowflies. Now you see why I hate using it?
I see.
So, I hate using it. What is it? This is the now infamous shadow form. So, it's a tiny bit of a spoiler. But let's say that our protagonist can derive his power from the Shadow Realm and the Moros, the god of Shadow. One of the things that we wanted to do is create a very distinct visual identity to this ability. In Wolcen 1, you might remember it was a completely different style of kind of souped up superpower. We wanted to make this one kind of bespoke for this character. Hey, we died.
Yes.
The charges are all nifty, right? But to go back to Shadow Form, I won't speak too much about the design aspect of it. That's Adrian's purview. What I will say is that narratively, but also artistically, like the art team did an amazing job. narratively, we kind of wanted it to be something distinct, something spectacular, but also something that is visually striking, like you know that you are entering shadow form when you do it. You're kind of deriving the power from the shadow. You get that negative lighting thing going on. And the more perceptive players might notice that the rest point pillars that you encounter share the visual aesthetic of the Shadow Realm. That's a hint. We did the side quest.
This bauble?
Yes. If you care not for it, allow me to trade you the skeleton key.
Surely it will be more useful to you than a bauble.
So be it.
We got the Tear of Anathea, and now we get the skeleton key. Very useful, because it opens nigh every lock. Anyway, I'm going to relegate you to talk more about the kind of intention behind the Shadow form, but narratively, we had a lot of fun with this. We are Shadowborn, in fact, and we wanted that to be reflected in many ways as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the shadow form has evolved a lot from what we had in Wolcen 1. While there it was used mostly as an oh crap button. Here...
It wasn't the shadow form, it was the apocalyptic form.
Yes, exactly, it was the apocalyptic form. Here, using the shadow form is a risk versus reward thing, because you are not as safe as you believe in shadow form. I will leave you the kind of possibility to figure it out yourselves, but when you're in shadow form, you are attracting forces that you cannot see while you're not in shadow form, and this is extremely dangerous for you. So be careful, use shadow form only when needed, and don't stay too long, or you might have to press that button again and use one of your 3 charges. Oh yes, a little warning, arachnophobia warning here. We are going to have a few spiders, but...
I think that's a bit too late, but
Yes.
we will put this one in the front.
Yes. Hopefully our editor is going to put arachnophobia warning before we start the video, and by the time you get here, you'll know what this is about.
This is what I was referring to. Of course, you know, in the typical tradition of they delved too deep lore, it seems like the followers of the Blind Prince have indeed gone too far underground and might have unearthed something nasty, potentially even nastier than they are.
Bastards. These tunnels are thick with them.
I'm getting her signal. She's close. Keep going.
What do you think I'm doing?
Looks like we're getting close to our, let's say, our mystery female companion. And here is the, let's say, mini-boss that shows what we have uncovered in here. It has a very distinct visual identity.
Or Tolkien-esque, if you understand my meaning. I think as a mini boss fight, it works really well, because by the time you've gotten to this mini boss, you've kind of been dealing with these spiders. Hey, Shadow Form, let's go! And you kind of understood that there's probably a source to this infestation.
And
But what is happening?
that were very attentive. You might have seen the Broodmother just lurking around in the background like 2 minutes ago while you were going through the tunnels.
Indeed. It's Chekhov's spider. I think we need to make sure that also to point out that the kind of distribution of various bosses is a big part of an ARPG, and we kind of want to thread that line between, you know, overstaying our welcome and just spamming them, and having each one be super unique. It's productionally impossible to have all uniqueness all the time, but we're gonna do our best to make it as close as possible to that.
You can see what Shadow Form can do when used properly. It completely demolishes this group of mobs.
Yay, we've saved her.
Yay! But who's
Or have we? Yeah, that's a good question.
Valeria,
Oh! I remember that.
wake up! She cannot be dead. She can't be.
It's Valeria, of course, from Wolcen 1, but if she's dead, then we have a whole nother discussion to have, but that's up to you to discover.
Indeed. And this concludes our walkthrough of our little Wolcen 2 demo. And we cannot close this video without thanking the rest of the team. They've done an amazing job, and they're doing an amazing job working on creating this game for you, and we hope you enjoy it.
Every time we play the builds, I'm at least, but I'm sure I can speak for the both of us. I'm awed at how much work pays off when you see it and how talented our teams are. So, indeed, thank our teams. Thank you, Adrian. And thank you guys for watching and following along with us.
Thank you. See you on the next one.